now, from overtourism in Europe to airports that don't accept digital boarding passes. There's lots to keep in mind when travelling this summer.
Here to get us up to speed, it is Eoghan Corry from Travel Extra magazine. Hello, Eoghan. Thank you so much.
Good morning to you.
Can we talk about the overtourism? Because people might have seen protests on places that they may go to all of the time. What is this? Where is it happening?
Every time anybody that talks about overtourism, it's really about tourism management. Haven't even in the hotspots heard anyone saying all tourism is bad. What Venice has done, which has been really well publicised, just to make it clear exactly what they've done, is they've picked 20 days and charged €5 for those particular days. It's a scheme that they will have a look at next January and decide whether they're going to implement a €5 charge.
To go into Venice.
To go into Venice.
But they're trialling it this summer.
It's all a trial. And the interesting thing is that it's quite controversial. On the first day, there were protests against it. The former mayor of Venice, who doesn't like the current mayor, as happens in politics, said, don't pay it. It's also interesting how it's going to be implemented, because you do it on your phone, and then you have someone tapping you on the shoulder saying, have you paid your €5? Which really pushes against the happiness of a tourism experience. And let's face it, there's a very strong over-tourism movement in 3 points in Europe. Barcelona, Venice, Dubrovnik. Okay. There's a slightly different thing going on in Amsterdam. And in the Canary Islands, we have had activists...
Protests, big protests.
Particularly related to something that happens a lot in this country, a pristine site where a hotel is being developed in Tenerife. That turned into a protest on 5 islands against over-tourism. Yeah. But Venice and Dubrovnik, all of them depend very heavily on tourism,
but it was interesting
and especially the Canary Islands.
But it was interesting in the Canary Islands. Like, I was listening to locals who were just saying, listen, we know a lot of our trade here is tourism, that's fine. But with certain things such as Airbnb, I'm sleeping in my car now. I can't get a place to live. That everything now is available, and there's no place for locals to actually live or rent.
But at the same time, if there's no tourism, the locals wouldn't have a job either.
I know, but surely it has to be done in moderation.
Yes,
it seems like it's gone crazy.
The short-term rental, the very, very strong movement against that. And there's big discussions at EU. There's a register being introduced in Ireland.
That does seem to be the issue, the short-term rental.
And it's all based on this pretty causing of straightforward, let's look at what's Airbnb, let's look at what's available for locals. Oh, if we get all the Airbnb accommodation available for locals, we'll solve problems. Politicians, officials, all looking at that. It's interesting, Department of Housing, not just in Ireland, but right across Europe, are taking command of the attempts to regulate Airbnb. I'm not sure the cause and effect is that someone who has a room in Airbnb will be happy to put that in a long-term rental market.
Yeah. Just so you are saying places like Venice. So if you are planning on going to Venice, if you do fall on one of these days, you are going to have to download this and maybe walk around. You might be stopped or you might be stopped. So that's the thing. You could be in Venice all day and not get stopped and walk.
I don't think people will care about a $5.
It's the old bus conductor, you know.
I'm
under 14. I really am under 14.
Let's move on to something else. This is the Balearic Islands, something people will very much care about. They have introduced an alcohol ban for tourists. What's this?
Again, let's be careful of the phraseology here. It's actually an alcohol sale ban. Not that different from what we have in Ireland. We have, if you go to your supermarket before a certain time of the day, you won't be able to buy alcohol. Their big issue there is another one that we're very familiar with, social problems late at night. And tourists are, because the Balearic Islands, that's the nature of it, are noisy. We have videos on social media of English tourists jumping on cars. Thankfully, no Irish tourists ever do that.
No.
But, so it's drinking on the streets.
Drinking on the streets. So the drink in the bars, the control stuff, the nightclubs, all of that is still going to be untouched. It's much easier to go after the shop and say, don't sell the alcohol, than it is to try and chase down 20 or 30 obs jumping up and down on the street. Yeah. So the law's been there for a little while. They sent out a reminder quite recently. And it's before 8 a.m. in the morning and after, I think it's 11 at night, maybe 10.
So there's plenty of time to be buying your...
Still plenty of time.
I'm not going to stop it if you're really intent on it.
No, if you're in New York, you'll be able to get a drink.
But it's the casual, opportunistic, going into a shop, you've probably been thrown out of a club for being disorderly, going into a shop, buying alcohol, and then continuing drinking. That's what they're targeting, and it'll probably work.
Owen, if people are thinking of travelling, they haven't booked anything, are there any deals?
Now, here's an interesting thing. There are still, and it's because of a slight miscalculation on the supply-demand. In the last 6 weeks, we've seen quite a change here. Everybody assumed that there was going to be less supply than demand this summer. The prices that were put in the inventories by Ryanair, Aer Lingus, everyone else, were a little bit high. Everyone talking about it December, January. We've seen Michael O'Leary came out yesterday. He came out on May the 7th, said the same thing, that prices aren't going to go up. They are still going to go up. They're not going to go up by the 20%, 30% he thought. They're only going up by 5% because a little bit slacker. And we saw 2 48-hour flash sales by Ryanair in the last 3 weeks. Now, at the moment, the way flash sales work, it's not really the price that matters. It's when you can travel. Anything is up to the beginning of June. It looks like July, August still going to be heavy. The end of August, interesting, because I noticed the Irish market reluctant to take the kids out too close to school opening time. And of course, schools are opening earlier. It should be illegal for schools to reopen before September the 1st, but they're doing so. And the other thing we've got to watch for a bargain, if you have children, is if you don't have exam students, the English schools are still closed in June. First 2 weeks in June, great time to jump before the Netherlands and the English are open. Unfortunately, the Italians, the only country that has more school holidays than Ireland is, are the Italians.
Eoghan Corry from Travel Extra magazine, thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to hear from you today. If you've got an area in Ireland you think, Cliffs of Moher or something, there's Overtourism there. You're like, everyone just want locals. Big issue in Clare. 0896 111 111. There's lots more to come on Ireland AM.
We'll see you back here in a few minutes.